What's going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? The ACMG's Gamer here. Today we're here to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. There was a sneak peek that some people got at San Diego Comic-Con, and on StarWars.com there was an interview with the lead narrative director, Julian Garrity, and I've highlighted some things that I think will be important and that you should know. The link to the full interview will be down in the description down below. So, we start off with StarWars.com. Why do you think that Star Wars fits that genre so well? Talking about the open world genre, Garrity says, it was an opportunity to have the player step into the world of Star Wars, step into those locations both new and iconic, and really discover and direct the experience that they want. They're going to be really driving their adventure with all of the opportunities that an open world means, so you may have some objectives, but you are going to be distracted by your curiosity as a player. So they basically want us to be like, okay, cool, you know, we're a scoundrel. What does that mean? Let's go and find out and explore what the world has to offer. Question, I've always felt like Star Wars was designed with such a sense of history that you want to explore it. And the answer is Episode 4, the Cantina in Mos Eisley, is going to be recreated in this game. And if I turn my mind back to when I saw it first, you do want to investigate all of those nooks and crannies. You do want to investigate the locations that George Lucas didn't show on camera and be the director of your own adventure. So he's basically like, yeah, we have some of the iconic locations from different scenes in the movies, and we want you to be able to feel like you can fully explore that as a player. Tell me about the decision to use the scoundrel archetype. If you don't know, you play as a scoundrel, K-Vess. It's kind of like a good version of a bounty hunter, I guess. And he goes, you know, driving, flying, smuggling, shooting, sneaking, and all of these experiences combined into one particular character and character archetype. So they just felt like they could do all of that in one specific character, I guess. What can you tell us about the main characters of the game, K-Vess, Nix, and ND5? He says, we built her to be somebody who was a rookie thief, so just starting in the scoundrel lifestyle, if you will, but has dreams of exploring the whole of the galaxy. And he goes, Nix is a trusty companion. He is more than a pet. This is the only person that you really trust as K. The duo, the gameplay that represents, is really key to the adventure that we've prepared. ND5 is a character that you meet a little bit later on in the adventure, and he joins as a minder, a bodyguard, but an observer as well. How will the gameplay work with K and Nix? Can Nix go off and do something while you do something else? Very interesting. We did see a portion of this in the first gameplay demo. And Garrity answered, so there are going to be fighting moments, there are going to be sneaking moments, there are going to be moments where you have to distract an enemy, and you can send Nix to do something, make a noise, distract an enemy, sneak past them, or you can send him to attack. If you are faced with 3 or 4 different enemies, Nix can maybe handle one of those while you're taking care of the others. Nix can sneak into places that you can't fit in, help you open doors, push levers, activate mechanisms. It's really an extension of your powers and your actions. Now that is very interesting because to me, I immediately think of BD1 from the Jedi series, and I also think of the little drones from Watch Dogs, and I'll tell you why. Because BD1 is a character that helps Cal, but there's no secondary playtime as BD1. You don't play as BD1. You don't go through the vents and do any like short mechanics or anything and then come back to Cal. Compared to Watch Dogs, where you have a drone or you have a little robot or whatever that you can physically control and go and do things, right? So I'm almost wondering if in the instances with Nix, for example, where she can fit into places you can't, I wonder if you can take control of Nix and have K wait. I don't know if that's a real mechanic, but that would be interesting to me as a gameplay mechanic. So they said, can you talk about your approach to making it a living, breathing place? Because it is Star Wars, of course. They said we also wanted an iconic location, and that was for me Tatooine. It was a big challenge because there are so many things that exist on Tatooine that it's become a puzzle to put things together. Mos Eisley is a big part of it. There's also a lot of dunes, canyons, and things that you really expect. You know, the greatest hints of Tatooine that we tried to put together. And they put, so Mos Eisley is also a big part of it. Or sorry, they say, so all these things we're trying to do justice to the source material by really recreating it as authentically as possible with the help of Lucasfilm Games. Well, that's good. That's really good, because you know, if anything is out of place and a new game comes out, and it's like a pre-established canon thing, the fans will come after you, and they will judge you. They were asking about the different Star Wars planets and wanting it to be unique. Garrity said, we wanted a big urban location, a big city in it. We went to Tanzania to do some audio recordings. Now that's dedication. To capture soundscape, so the biome is based on the African savanna, but with a huge amberine slabs of crystal, and amberine is beautiful in the game because it catches and reflects the light, and the main city, Mirogana, is carved into one of these huge mountains right in the middle of it, sandwiched in the middle of it. And the pillars are made of amberine, and all of these simple but really refined little elements make something that is completely fresh, but still relatable. So then they ask him, basically, if at any point during the development they were like, this doesn't feel right, like creating a location and kind of how they went through that process. Garrity said the approach that we had initially was, okay, we want motocross to be the flavor of theme for K's speeder, so we based it on a classic Swedish design of a motocross bike, and we started removing elements, simplifying it, and the more was removed and got to the essential shape, the more relatable yet futuristic, retro-futuristic it felt. There's this simplicity that you put it through that really brings something that feels like Star Wars. Another great example is ND5. He's a BX commando droid with a coat, but just that coat and the posture and the animation and the voice brings a real personality to him. A lot of fans had questions about that coat, and he said, does he just feel like wearing a coat, or is there a backstory? And Garrity said, nope, there's a reason. He's a droid with a very complicated past, and I think he's going to become a huge fan favorite. Well, I hope so. He's already a fan favorite. Just with the coat alone, he looks like Deckard from Blade Runner. They were asking, they said fans are going to have to play the game to see who might show up as part of K's story. I think Jabba's the most obvious that we have featured. He's in the trailer. He's depicted as when they're giving Captain Solo over to Jabba. And then, the final question is there anything you want fans to know as they count down toward the release of the game coming out next year? Garrity said, I think I want to stress the idea of being able to step into Star Wars and to experience it on your own terms. As a scoundrel in the underworld, you are going to decide where you go, how you get there, who you're going to go work with, who you're not going to work with, how you're going to make those credits, and how you're going to get away from the bounty on your head. That's really the spirit behind this open world Star Wars game. That's very interesting. I do like that it's open-ended. They did kind of say that, you know, we do have a main objective, but they said that, you know, you're on your speeder bike. We want you to get there fast. But they're like, also, we have various points, like sightseeing on a planet, that you can go and explore on your own. And I do kind of like that. They were quoted, I covered this in another video or a previous video. They did say that the size of one planet is like 2 or 3 zones from Odyssey. I'm okay with big open world planets. The only thing that worries me is the amount of bloat that we're going to get. If you don't know what that means, it's like, oh, there's a fortress here, and you have to do the same thing like every time. Oh, there's this activity or that activity all over a small portion of the map. And basically, a lot of people, when you're exploring a world in a game, and especially if it's handcrafted, you don't want to just be going into these big places and not really have, or these really big areas and not have anything to do in those areas. So it makes sense to fill the game with stuff. And depending on how that ties into the lore, fans may be happy or not. But like we did see in the demo, I believe there is a fortress that they passed that you could go and explore. But that's all we know about Star Wars Outlaws. It's supposed to be coming out next year, I believe, and next year I think is going to be already stacked. I mean, this year a lot of people are like, oh, gaming, you know, it's kind of, I mean, we had Final Fantasy 16 recently, but a lot of people are like, well, you know, we're waiting for Starfield. That's coming up soon. And even after then, I have another game that I'll be waiting for. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.